Hello, I'm James Wilson.
And I'm Matthew Rowney.
And on today's Swedish Reviews, we will be reviewing once again the scariest episode possibly in Doctor Who ever. Except, well, maybe in my childhood.
Yep, another Steven Moffat classic, when he was a good writer. He's not now. We are going to be reviewing the one and the only Blink.
This episode was requested to us by Brian Avengor, and thank you very much for causing my nightmares to return. Thank you very much, Brian Avengor.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I've calmed down now.
Yeah, if you think he's bad now, you really should have seen him when he was watching the episode. But brilliant episode.
Really was. I mean, back when he had classics, you know, and in case you guys didn't know, me and Matthew did review a few days ago The Empty Child and the Doctor Dancers, and I think we said that in that review, that this episode, no offence to anyone who loved that episode, don't get me wrong, it was a great episode, but Blink kind of shat on that episode a little bit.
It topped it. I mean, watching The Empty Child, we were scared-ish.
Yeah.
But The Empty Child just looked like a happy-go-lucky cartoon compared to Blink. I mean, it was the only episode to actually make me properly jump out of my skin. And The Weeping Angels, if no one has realised, are my favourite enemy. And this episode is the reason why.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I've said this before, that the Weeping Angels have never been that scary after this episode. To me, they haven't anyway. Maybe that's just because, you know, I grew up since this episode.
I thought they were scary in Angels Take Manhattan. I wouldn't say they were as scary in the Series 5 two-parter, but definitely in Angels Take Manhattan.
I thought the opposite. I thought they were kind of scary in the Angel two-parter back in Series 5.
They were,
and I didn't find them scary at all in Angels Take Manhattan.
They were scary in both, I think, but I think with the plot that was surrounding Angels Take Manhattan and the intensity of Amy and Rory's death, I think it had me more on the edge of my seat. But they're extremely scary, and they are the scariest enemy.
Oh yeah,
and they're unique.
And
the music, the episode anyway.
Yes, but yes, the music certainly did help this episode.
The first thing that popped out to me was the music.
Yeah, I mean, me and Matthew have praised Murray Gold many times, but Murray Gold was again on top form in this episode. Because it was just chilling and scary throughout the entire episode, and most people don't put much importance to music in an episode of a TV show, because some people sort of underestimate it a little bit, and I personally do think that music is key to the intensity of an episode,
especially this one.
And Murray Gold did brilliantly in this.
It sets the mood for the episode.
Because besides the Weeping Angels, it was the music that creeped me out the most. And of course there was Wester Drumlin's
great backdrop.
Great backdrop, really. Just the set of like a haunted house. Well, it wasn't haunted. Well, it was haunted by Weeping Angels, but you get what I mean. It was just a broken down old house, chandeliers on the floor, and peeling wallpaper and everything. It was honestly just really creepy. I could not spend a night in Wester Drumlin's, and honestly, that was probably the main reason why I was scared shitless when I was 12. So.
The music, it sounded like a creaky gate type, wasn't it? It was like a tick 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 tick, like a clock.
Yeah.
It was great music, and the intro was great because it just showed Sally Sparrow peeling off the wallpaper, and we got a little glimpse of the angels.
Yeah.
But it really set the tone, and then obviously after the intro, which I think the intro asked so many questions as well, grabbed your attention big time. She saw the video of the Doctor, and the Doctor made the angels sound dangerous, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was saying, "Don't even blink, don't turn your back, they are fast." And then we got to see her and her friend come back to the house. I keep forgetting its name. West Drumlin's, I think that's the one. And that was the first time we got to see the angels in action. And boy,
good God, they really were. I mean, honestly, it's just like the jerky movements, and I actually thought that those were moulded statues. That's what I actually thought. But no, those are actual people playing the Weeping Angels. And I thought that was brilliant, because it's just the way one moment they'd be have a scary as shit face, hands over their eyes. It was just scary constantly. And honestly, it's just the fact that they were in one position 1 minute, and then another completely different movement in another scene. And honestly, that is what scared me the very most, because the fact that they were so immobile, so immovable, and yet you had to keep your eye on them. You had to...
Like the gas mask child, which we talked about, Moffat once again has made the most mundane thing scary.
Exactly.
You wouldn't walk past a statue scared because it's a statue, it doesn't move.
Mm.
But when a statue can move like a weeping angel, boy, I mean, I never looked at a statue the same since this episode.
Oh, definitely
and,
not.
You know,
I actually...
just the way they had their hands over their eyes, and then a character would walk past them, and then their eyes would be open.
Yeah.
Just like, crap.
Honestly, it was honestly the scariest thing when I was a kid. And of course, there is not just that, but the timey-wimey aspect. This was sort of the first time that Steven Moffat had actually explored with time a little bit.
It really showed how confusing time travel is.
He did skim across the subject of time travel and how confusing it can be in The Girl in the Fireplace in Series 2. But Steven Moffat certainly did use time travel and its confusingness. That isn't a word, but still, he used that to its full potential in this episode. And too bad he uses time travel too much now, you know. With the whole river song thing, he kind of overuses time travel and how timey-wimey it can be.
It worked well as a one-off now and then, but now it's in all the time. I mean, one great thing that separated Moffat's episodes from other episodes is they were very confusing, and they were all over. And until the end, when they tied up in a very clever way, and it almost made you think, oh yeah. But now it's like that in every episode, you know. It really does stretch your mind. And for thick people like Jamie, I'm joking. But for the people who aren't as clever, I will call you clever when it comes to Doctor Who, James. For the people who aren't as intelligent when it comes to Doctor Who, they do lose their way a lot with Moffat episodes. You need to be on the ball, watching everything to understand a Moffat. And but yeah, the absence of the Doctor throughout this episode, I don't think. Well, this is comparing it to another review, Love and Monsters. The absence of the Doctor. You didn't really notice it. You were too intrigued in the plot to notice it, weren't you?
Exactly.
It's not like you stopped and thought, "Where's the Doctor?" You know, you were the characters and
the characters and the way they were structured was brilliant, and I did love it certainly because these people were more grounded than the people were in Love and Monsters. These were people you could actually relate to, and despite the whole spooky, eerie sort of gates swinging open and gust of wind and all that spooky stuff. It still felt as though you were part of it, like, you know, these characters were actually relatable. The characters of Sally Sparrow, Kathy Nightingale, and I think it was I've forgotten Kathy Nightingale's brother, Larry, something like that, Larry Nightingale, and just these characters, and Larry Nightingale had a great comedic sort of effect on the episode.
But it didn't affect the episode in a huge way, did it?
It didn't, no. It didn't affect the spookiness at all, which is the mistake that Love and Monsters made. It was more funny when it should have been focusing on, you know, the premise. And this certainly didn't move away from that. He had a sort of awkward humour that I still giggled at, and, you know, it definitely balanced it from the spookiness brilliantly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I personally do think that these characters were a lot better than they were in Love and Monsters. I wanted to see these characters live till the very end.
But when Linda just got, like, chopped off one by one, you weren't bothered, were you?
No, not really. And with these characters, Kathy, I was actually like, no, don't turn around. The Weeping Angel's behind you. No.
It showed the consequences of it when she got took back into the past, and then when that guy came to the door, who was Kathy's grandson, gave Sally the letter, and Sally basically realised that her friend had gone all the way back to the past, and she just lost her best friend right there and then.
Yeah. And
her best friend had already lived and died before she even was born. So that really did highlight the consequences that the angels bring. The Doctor said that they kind of kill you in a nice way, but still a very horrible. You know, people would rather die instantly than get dragged through death. So they are very sinister, and she got took back to 1920, I think it was, and then Sally started to investigate.
Yeah.
She met Larry, 17 discs and everything like that. And then the next scene I remember is when they returned to the house.
Yeah, and this time it was at night, which, honestly, this was the part where I was shitting myself. I was actually, during the time we were watching it, I was actually saying to Marty, I can't watch this. It still spooks me out even now. And Marty was just saying, well, how the fuck are you going to review it? So then I was like, fair dues, okay, I've got to review this, be a professional reviewer, so obviously I survived the episode once again, but honestly, it was just so spooky to see it even again now.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is DCI Shipton, was it?
D.I. Shipton.
D.I. Shipton, another death that we might as well point out. Another guy we felt sorry for because he just got Sally Sparrow's number and you were like, get in there, son. And then he got took back in time, and then there was a scene where she went to the hospital to see him, and it was dead sad.
Yeah.
The way, we just went through all this scary emotion, and then the next minute, as Moffat does brilliantly, he switches it on its head, and we've seen him dying in his bed, and he was saying, I've waited all my life to see you.
Yeah.
I've had something to look forward to.
Oh, yeah.
And he dies.
To be perfectly honest, I see why Steven Moffat actually. To be perfectly honest, the Weeping Angels, the most sinister part about them, like the Doctor said back in 1969, when D.I. Shipton was zapped back, he said that the Weeping Angels are the only people to kill you nicely. They just send you way back in time and then let you live to death, and then feed off the energy that you would have had in the present day. And to be perfectly honest, I think the characters that Steven Moffat structures up and up and up and then comes smacking back down again as they're zapped back in the past, I think the Weeping Angels are there to make you feel bad for the people that the Weeping Angels feed off of.
He doesn't do that enough these days, does he, Moffat? He doesn't make you love a character so much and then lose them.
Yeah, and I think that's what Steven Moffat used to do well. He
did it in the Angels 2-parter with Bishop. What was his name? I knew his name was Bishop. I can't remember. It was Sergeant Bishop or something in that 2-parter in series 5.
Octavius.
That's the one, and he got his neck broken.
Yeah,
that's another example. I just pull it out there, but yeah, one thing he does brilliantly, especially with the Angels, is he makes the characters. You feel sorry for them when there's a career, because even though they've been killed in a nice way, it's a long, dragging death. It's not instant.
Yeah, personally, I think that the Weeping Angels kill those that have a lot to live for.
Because there's more energy.
Exactly, there's more energy from that. What did D.I. Shipton have to look forward to? He was so happy. He got Sally Sparrow's number. He thought, wow, I just got a beautiful girl's number and this might actually work, I might actually have a relationship with this person. And he was so happy, and yet the Weeping Angels just took that from him. And it was the same with Kathy. She probably had so many plans, so many things that she wanted to do in the present day, and yet the Weeping Angels just took that away. I think that the Weeping Angels, the most sinister part about them, isn't that they zap you back. It's the fact that they take away those really pivotal moments in your life that you really wished could have happened.
Yeah, they do. They kind of make you feel like, what I could have had. Instead of what I have got, they make you think about what you could have had.
Yeah.
It was the
most sinister part about them.
It's harsh, it is. And going back to the scene we were on about, the scariest scene, which was them in the house. They were looking at the videos of the Doctor, and we got to see how the videos
made sense.
They made sense. They were replying to Sally Sparrow, and you could realise, okay, the Doctor knows what she's going to say because she's given the script in the future. Blah blah blah. That all made sense. And then we see the angels coming towards them, and the Doctor was like, "They are coming for you." And then, when Larry was kind of staring at it, and everybody looked away, and bang, it was there in his face.
Oh, God.
My God. And that was the scariest part. And then, obviously, they chased them down to the cellar, and it got even worse because the lights were going out, which was a great effect.
Honestly, that was probably the scariest part of the episode for me.
Every time the lights went out, they were
getting closer.
They did that in series 5 in the tunnels, in the air vents, didn't they? When they were climbing through them, they did that. And once again, a great effect. Every time the lights went out, you can't see the angels, so it's bang, bang. God, the intensity and the suspense was unbelievable.
I think they've done that in every time the Weeping Angels have.
You need to, because that's how good they are.
Yeah, that effect where the lights just go on and off, it's probably the only way the Weeping Angels will actually look scarier. And they did that in Blink, they did that in the Angels 2-parter in Series 5, and I think they did it in the Angels Take Manhattan.
I think they did in the hotel.
Yeah, and I think Moffat will continue to use that until the Weeping Angels have gone, really.
I love them. My favourite enemy.
Yeah, they're not my favourite enemy because they scare me so much. They can't be my favourite enemy. But yeah, they just are guaranteed they are probably the scariest monster in Doctor Who history for me.
They had you on your seat at all times. When you're watching that horror movie and you want to look away, but then you don't because you're so intrigued.
Oh yeah.
And when you can feel the intensity building up, your head gets closer to the screen, but you're getting more scared and you're tricking yourself into watching it. That's what it was like because you didn't want to look away and you could feel the intensity building, and it was like the music was bang, bang. Brilliant work with the music and the Weeping Angels together. It's like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and the camera work as well, the direction was very good indeed. I think the music and the direction and the choreography, the way the angels were moving and stuff. I think that definitely had a huge part in the episode. Certainly, I mean, without the direction, which was brilliant, the camera angles and everything, the music, it was all key to making this episode the scariest it could possibly be.
It was amazing.
It really was.
A clever solution, the way that they could look, the TARDIS, when the TARDIS was materialising and it left them behind, I was like, oh my god, they're going to die after all this, they're going to get killed.
Yeah.
And then it was the relief almost, that the Weeping Angels were looking at each other, so they survived, which was a clever solution in the end. And then obviously then we got to see Sally meet the Doctor, give him the transcripts, and as Moffat has done in every single one of his episodes, it's all over the place, mind-fucking you for the first 40 minutes, and then it all makes sense at the end, and you just think, you've got to just clap your hands and think, well done, you got me, clever.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was a really clever solution. I mean, I love the way Steven Moffat does all the timey-wimey stuff, or at least I did at the time.
Like I said, it was better as a one-off.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, I think Blink was the reason why he's head writer right now.
Yeah, and it also foreshadowed the return of the angels at the end.
Yeah.
It's just as you thought everything was all happy, it showed pictures of the angels around the city as if to say, they're not gone. There's every statue in the world's an angel.
Yeah,
and it made everyone realise that they're going to return in the future, which at the time must have been great because the Weeping Angels are probably the most unique, different. There's never been an enemy like them. They are so unique in what they do that people must have just been gagging for them to come back. So it was a great cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, definitely. Would you like to conclude?
Yeah, you can go first because I feel as if our ratings out of 10 may differ quite a bit, so you can go first.
But yes, the episode introduced the angels with great intensity and creepiness. Wester Drumlands was a great backdrop and certainly added to the screams of my 12-year-old self. Sally Sparrow was a great character that I enjoyed watching, and I thought she was a great contrast to the Doctor and Martha. And despite the Doctor and Martha not being present, there were people these were people I wanted to live to see to the end. And Larry Nightingale was a great comedic aid with his awkward humour. The angels were and are the most frightening monster that Doctor Who has ever produced, and probably this episode was the reason why Moffat is head writer. That's the only bad thing I have to say, really. Overall, I can see now why at 12 years old I couldn't sleep the night this episode aired. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, okay.
I know it's a bit critical, but...
Blink was an extremely intense episode, which was vintage Moffat, making no sense throughout, but tying everything up in a really clever way in the end. It really highlighted how confusing time travel can be. The Doctor and Martha were absent for 90% of the episode, but that couldn't have been supported it better. With an interesting cast, the silent but deadly, unbelievably scary monsters, the Weeping Angels, which were unique and unlike anything we'd seen before. The background music was fantastic, adding to the incredible intensity. The plot was so complex and dynamic, but extremely well written and cleverly developed. This episode brought out every emotion, including fear, mystery, sadness and humour, and is the only Doctor episode to ever make me jump. It had everything a Doctor episode should, and I couldn't pick the smallest fault, as hard as I tried. I could watch it over and over again, and I could never get bored of it. It was the definition of the perfect Doctor episode, so I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Well,
our ratings never differ for more than one.
Yeah.
I'm always one above you or one below, but two difference there.
Yeah, definitely. So now on to answering comments.
Now we're going to be answering some comments from our previous review, which was Rose. The first commenter is well-known subscriber Film446. He said this episode was a great way to reboot Doctor Who for a whole new generation. Plus, I thought Christopher Eccleston was a bit more like Tom Baker than William Hartnell, though. But overall, I agree with you guys that Rose is the unearthly child of New Who. Well done, Russell T Davies. Completely agree with him when he says that Rose was the unearthly child of New Who. It was.
Oh, yeah.
Russell did a great job. What I want to talk about is about what he said about him being more like Tom Baker than William Hartnell. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think while we were doing the review, I think what we meant is that there was a huge similarity with William Hartnell and Christopher Eccleston, is that they were both introducing the show to...
they had to give the first impression of the Doctor, didn't
they? Yeah, they kind of had to give the Doctor a good first impression to audiences, and I think they both did a brilliant job, and I think that's the only way we actually compared them. But in terms of Tom Baker was kind of the only Doctor to look, and
he was the first alien-looking Doctor.
He was the first alien-looking Doctor with the bug eyes and the wide grin, and quite energetic as well. He looked and sounded alien with the deep grokey voice, and honestly, I think personally, he just looked like a very alien Doctor, and so did Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Christopher Eccleston was more unique because the Time War is what I think made Christopher Eccleston Doctor. I think that's what made him more than anything else. Not only past Doctors, but the Time War itself.
Our second comment is from the 8-Bit Creeper, who says, I really like this episode. It's how Russell actually respected the intelligence of the viewers and could create good twists and clever mysteries, such as the Doctor being a dangerous mystery, and the end of it revealed he was trying to help the Earth and its people, which I really liked. Steven Moffat loves to make plot twists which are unfollowable, totally a word, which don't end up clever, but rushed and stupid. Also, could you review the Christmas Invasion? Well, the last one's a request.
Which is noted.
Yes, which is definitely noted. But yes, definitely unfollowable. Don't think that is a word. But yes, Steven Moffat did have like I said in my conclusion of that episode, Russell T Davies definitely proved himself in that episode to be the godfather of New Who, and I think he did that brilliantly, and for the rest of his tenure, right up until End of Time. Yeah, and like what you said about Steven Moffat, I did say also in this review itself, Blink. You've got to really be an eagle-eyed viewer to keep up with Moffat because he's all over the place, and it makes sense at the end. And if you've missed 2 minutes, you're going to completely you won't have a clue what's happening. If you miss a certain little bit of it, you won't have a clue what's happening at the end. So it's a beauty in some way. It's clever, but it's also annoying because if that's happening week in, week out, you get a bit bored of it. But what you said about the Rose itself, it was a fantastic episode, and it made the mystery of the Doctor very good. But it kind of showed off the Doctor from every single aspect in it. Yeah. And our final comment is a nice praised comment, and we like to address these because we much appreciate all of our subscribers giving us good feedback. It is from TARDIS Plus HD. He did say a great review for this fantastic opener to the new series of Doctor Who. Spot on. Thank you very much. We'd just like to address that. Yes. Because we appreciate it very much. Oh yes, you're making us blush. But yes, thank you guys for watching. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and if you do, we'll subscribe right back to yours as well. Yes, all contact details for like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, whichever one you use, you can find links to all 4 of them on our YouTube channel homepage. Like us, follow us, whatever. It'll be easier for you guys once we go back to college because you'll be able to find all in-depth updates, what's happening on the channel on there too. Our next review will be The Waters of Mars, which I cannot wait for. Oh yes. Love that episode. Yes. And of course, comment in the comment section below your views on Blink. Yes. I'm James Wilson. I'm Matthew Rowney. This has been Who Addicts Reviews.